My brain doesn't work like other people's. And I've made peace with that. Or at least a treaty. Wait, who am I kidding? I don't have ADHD. It has me. We're not friends. We're not allies. We're co-pilots, sipping Movtel cocktails at the edge of a sunset. We're locked into something more like mutually assured destruction. ADHD is nuclear. It doesn't simmer. It detonates. It lights up everything, possibility, fear, creativity, regret all at once. It's like trying to read poetry during a fireworks show while the ground shakes and someone keeps whispering, "What if you're not real?" Some days it's a gift, and other days it's antimatter, pure potential wrapped in volatility. And that's why today I've decided to take you on this journey. That's why I've started this drive. And like I always do, no instinct, no plan, no map, just a gravel road pulling westward from the spine of Mary's Peak, where the clouds hang low like secrets and the trees lean in like they're listening. And we may find facts and we may find fiction, but we're going to have nothing but pure adventure. They say you can see the ocean from the summit on a clear day, but I wasn't interested in the summit. I wanted the in-between, the wind descent, the forest mystery, the liminal stretch where the mind unspools and the road disappears behind a curtain of ferns and fog. It's not quiet out here. It's alive. There's a green hum to the forest, something older than memory. Each Douglas fir creaks like it remembers the footsteps of things we no longer believe in. And as my tires crunch through the gravel, I can't help but wonder if Bigfoot hears me long before I ever notice him. Because, yes, let's speak plainly. There are things in these woods, things that maps don't mention, things that live in the corners of our vision and echo deep in the voices of our logic. The gravel sings beneath me as I ease off the brake and let the van roll west, out of signal, out of time, and out of reach. Mary's Peak fades behind me, cloaked in a cloud, like an old god retreating into its throne. I'm not heading for the summit. That's where the tourists go, where the plaques explain things away. I'm headed down into the folds, into the undergrowth, into that long green corridor where sunlight flickers like a dying reel of film. I tell myself I'm just out for a long drive, but the truth is, it's a controlled burn. Because most of the time, I accept the fact that ADHD owns me. But when I take that next dose of methylphenidate and I suddenly conquer that gravel road, we end up like captains of a submarine at the bottom of the ocean, loaded with nuclear ballistic missiles and our hands shaking slightly over the buttons. Because yes, methylphenidate helps. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't fix me. Sometimes it focuses the warhead. It's not peace, it's a guidance system, a countdown, a yes, Captain, from something deep in my own writing. But even medicated, I know the truth. My mind isn't wired for comfort. It's wired for possibility, and that's dangerous. And so I drive 5 miles on a road that doesn't exist on most maps. 1 lane, 1 shoulder, trees on both sides like cathedral walls. A kind of place where moss grows thicker than memory. And out here, between the static in my skull and the engine's hum, I hear things, not voices, not ghosts, but something else. The forest speaks in riddles. And every once in a while, if you drive slow enough and you listen hard enough, you catch a glimpse of something impossible. A shape, a shadow, a movement you can't justify. Bigfoot maybe? Or a lost traveler? A dead radio? Or maybe it's just the mind, an unmedicated moment, telling the truth a world refuses to believe. There's a moment in every drive when you realize that no one is coming to get you. Not the phone signal, not the world you left behind, and not the version of you that plays nice for the algorithm. And that moment, when the road narrows and the map becomes a suggestion, more than a truth, that's when you start to first feel the tug. Not fear, not quiet. It's something deeper, something like an awakening. See, when you drive far enough into the woods, you don't just get lost. You start to slip between the layers. The forest isn't just trees. It's code. And somewhere between the branches and the static of your thoughts, you realize this whole place is a simulation, except for you. Not the version that shows up to work, not the medicated handshake, the glowing blueprint, the long-forgotten prototype. That's why we drive gravel, because pavement is too polite, because highways only take you where everyone else is going. But out here, you can break orbit. You can override the safeties. Out here, you might find that the chains binding your mind aren't real. They're just legacy software running outdated trauma. I hit mile 7, maybe 8. No way. No anymore. The forest grew thicker. The green was electric. It wasn't just chlorophyll, it was hypercolor, bioluminescence, like someone spiked the soil with psilocybin and let God paint it with ultraviolet. I swear, the trees were breathing, and I swear something just behind my field of view was keeping pace, a shape, maybe nothing, maybe everything. You ever think about how ADHD is a cybernetic overload? Like your brain is running every browser tab at once, but one of them is live streaming an existential crisis, while the other is tracking a cryptid on thermal, and a third is whispering, what if time is broken? And yet, somehow, it all works. You become the mainframe, the firewall, the chaos engine. You are the nuclear core. And that's why I take methylphenidate, not to fix myself, but to stabilize the reactor. It's a cold fusion in the bloodstream, a whisper to the beast. But even stabilized, I still chase the edge. I need the gravel, the unknown, the myth. I think, therefore I am, but I'd like to reverse that. I drive, therefore I am. I drive, therefore I become, because thinking doesn't always cut it out here. Sometimes you have to move your body, your thoughts, shadow, and forest to find out if your soul still fits inside your bones. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's the point. And somewhere out here past mile 10, if miles matter, the trees begin to shift. Not physically, not like they walked, but like they have adjusted their expectations. That's when I saw it, just for a moment. A figure, tall, still watching. Maybe it was a buck, maybe a bear, or something else. Something that never needed a name. Something not meant to be seen, only felt. Like a truth in your DNA. But your brain fog translates it. I don't stop. I didn't scream. I just whispered, I see you, and I keep driving. Because here's the thing they don't tell you about the edge of the unknown world. It doesn't push back. It invites you. And then it hit me. Maybe Bigfoot isn't a creature. Maybe it's a symbol. The unknown we're afraid to chase. Maybe it's everything we gave up on. The wilderness, the wonder, the version of ourselves that never had to apologize for being too much. The gravel cracks beneath the tires like old bones. I passed a downed tree. I had to stop and walk for the rest of the way on foot. And in that silence, that hush you only get after the engine dies, I could hear my thoughts reorganize. Not literally, not alphabetically, like particles in a collider, smashed together and making new elements of truth. The unexamined life is not worth living. Well, I examined mine, and it's not clear, it's not quiet, it's not optimized for social media, but it's alive and it glows in the dark. I clutch the tree in line and look west. The ocean was still miles away, but I could smell the salt. And I could see something flickering in the canopy, like neon veins pulsing in the sky. Cyberpunk maybe? Or maybe I was just deep enough into the woods that reality had given up pretending. You ever wonder if the mushrooms out here aren't just alive, but aware? You ever hear a tree crack and feel like it's judging you? You ever stare into the fog and feel like it's staring back? This, my friend, is what methylphenidate can't touch. This is what the silence forgets. The holy glitch in the matrix, the lucid dream that doesn't end when you wake up. This is the point of the drive, to find peace inside you that doesn't want to be productive. It wants to be real. The sun never quite rises out here. It shifts, bleeds through the fog like a slow pulse. Not warm, but honest. I found a clearing. More like it found me. Rocks arranged in a circle, a tree bent just slightly wrong. Not a camp, not a trailhead, a threshold. I stood there for a moment and I realized this is what religion wants to be. Not temples, not sermons, contact. Contact with the self that still hears the hum of creation. Contact with the wild version of me. The barefoot version, the burning vision. The one who doesn't check emails, but speaks in lightning and loss. There's a silence out here that isn't empty. It's full of every answer that you were too scared to ask for. And I let it wrap around me like tentacles of radiation, not killing me, but reprogramming me. Because ADHD isn't a flaw. It's a quantum wiring, an analog world. It's a chaos in a straitjacket. And I'm done apologizing for that. I'm not broken. I am high voltage. I am the glow that doesn't need a socket. And as I walk back to the vehicle, I can feel the medication starting to fade, that subtle return of scattershot thought, that electric buzz behind the eyes. But this time, I don't fear it. I begin to be the edge. And it doesn't consume me, it completes me. I know Descartes said, Cartigo ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. But out here, where the forest warps time and the fog carries secrets, I think we need a new phrase. I wonder, therefore I remember. I remember what I was before the diagnosis, before the pills, before the job titles, before the likes and the loops and the labels. Out here, I find a piece of myself buried in the moss, a fragment, a prototype, a version of me running on instinct and story. And I picked it up and took it with me. So now I drive back, the tires hum, the gravel fades, the world returns with all of its noise and notifications and 9 to 5s, but I'm not the same because I drove into the myth and I came out with the truth. And if you ever feel the pull, the itch behind your eyes, the call of the fog, go, take the turn, follow the gravel, chase the shadow, and listen closely, because in the space between the forest and your thoughts, you might just find the most radioactive secret of all. You've been real this whole time. Godspeed.